Welcome back to Deep Images, or if you're watching for the first time, just welcome. Come on in. I'm Henry Covert. Today I have with me my amazing co-hosts, C.F. Roberts and Justin Cotton, and we are continuing one of our kind of mega series where we focus on a certain topic within the genre, within film, a genre, and this topic is samurai films or Chanbara, which means sword fighting films, basically, or Chanbara Iga. Um, and they fall within they're a subgenre of Jidegeki, which is historical period films in Japan. And so these span from like I forgot when the beginning of the Tokugawa shogunate begins. I should have this memorized by now, but it's like the 13th, maybe century or 14th, and all the way until 1913. And so Japan was an empire, but the military kind of ruled the people. So that's who the shogunate was. So it was kind of like if the generals had performed the coup in 7 Days in May and succeeded. I mean, they may have succeeded. I haven't seen the movie in a long time, but it's kind of like something that can happen and has happened worldwide throughout history. But they kept it going for a few hundred years, and then the shogunate died off, and then the Meiji period began, and then the Meiji period ended. And when it ended, yeah, let me correct that. The Meiji period began like 1868, I think, and 1913, the Meiji period ended. But that period basically was Japan industrializing, westernizing themselves. So when that period ended, the empire took control. There was no more shogunate, which was a good thing. There was no more daimyos, this old system, samurai. However, there were a lot of yakuza, a lot of criminals using the same kind of weaponry and methods. But as far as the government, well, the empire decided, well, now that we're westernized, we're just going to go ahead and get involved in this war. And so they, fought in World War II and killed and tortured a lot of people. But the U.S. dropped a bomb on them, which I personally don't agree with. But and then
Right.
they surrendered, but they were going to surrender anyway. Uh,
Yeah.
so anyway, we're going to trip back to the Tokugawa shogunate. We did cover something in the Meiji era on our last session. But so this isn't aren't late films that I don't know. I know when mine takes place by the exact year, but if you guys don't know the exact years, that's quite okay. Just rough estimate is fine. So we're going to begin with C.F. Roberts with a classic of the genre.
Okay. Well, the classic I brought with me today is 1961's Yojimbo. And just on the on the historical note, it takes place toward the end of the Tokugawa shogunate, and we know this because guns are popping up.
Mm-hmm.
Pistols are popping up, and
Yeah, in the 18th century, a lot of firearms started mixing in.
and one comes very much into use. Um,
I think it takes away the honor of um, close up combat. And
yeah,
I know a lot obviously other characters in the movies we cover feel that way, but because you're fighting all these emissaries of the shogunate, you know, sword to sword, hand to hand, up close combat, and but then they can just hire a few guys over here and shoot you with muskets and you're dead.
yeah, and I think that was definitely the mindset going into this movie, and I think it was probably the mindset of our director Akira Kurosawa.
Oh yeah.
And this is probably noteworthy not only in that it created probably the first template for I don't know, just kind of the stern kind of I don't know stoic movie hero or anti-hero or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
uh but
Yeah.
it was also a movie that spawned some remakes. One very popular Fistful of Dollars, and with Clint Eastwood, and kind of taking on that character, and later on, kind of a real, kind of a shitty movie called with Bruce Willis called Last Man Standing in the 90s.
The last time I watched Yojimbo, it was weird because I had watched for a few dollars more not too long before it, but I hadn't watched Yojimbo in a while, and I was like, "This is really." I mean, if you just ignore the cultural differences, racial differences, it's a pretty close remake. I mean,
Yeah. And I did go in, I did have this idea that Sanjuro was the sequel was kind of remade as for a few dollars more. Actually, they're not remakes at all.
mm-mm,
And I haven't seen that one in a few years, but I'm kind of led to believe they kind of did that whole thing with the flowers and the stream. I'm
mm.
not sure whether they did, but it's I have a memory that they did. I could be wrong on that. I'm not
I
sure.
have seen Sanjuro about 3 years ago. I have the set with the two of them, but I don't own the Man with No Name trilogy anymore. I haven't upgraded that to Blu-ray. I sold my DVDs.
Yeah, I've got it somewhere.
I
I've
mean,
got it
everybody buys
somewhere.
them at one time or another, right?
Yeah, yeah. I need to find that because I love
We're
those
big
movies.
spaghetti western fans here, but we can't get it. We don't have enough of a crew that's seen enough spaghetti westerns to do a whole show. I don't want to do one all by myself. I mean, I got the hat and everything, but I don't want to. I mean, I've seen 300 spaghetti westerns, and they're not all of equal quality. But
Yeah.
I think Bill and Chuck could take it on with me one day. But um, Chuck did cover one of my very favorites, The Great Silence, on the channel. Did a great job.
Oh yeah. Not oh yeah, I did a great job, but oh yeah, I did cover that.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Not I'm not gonna be I'm not gonna be that egotistical about it. But
So
uh
Yojimbo, just tell us what Yojimbo means. Do you remember?
oh yes, it means bodyguard,
Okay, cool.
and that plays into it. The great Shiro Mifune plays the lead character, and he's just kind of this scrappy Ronin who just kind of comes into town, and he's got this kind of weird way of walking. He has this weird twitch in his shoulders, almost like he's a dog shaking off fleas or something. And I think that's the exact description that they wanted him to, go with. It's like a dog trying to shake off fleas. And it's about what it's very odd, quirky look. And
Hmm.
he's approaching a town, and he's at a crossroads. He takes a stick, it kind of has two little prongs at the end. He throws it up in the air, and it lands in a certain place where he could go left or right. And so he goes left. And so he's going to this city or this town. I can barely call it a city. And can barely call it a town. It's more like a street. But
Avila.
yes, yes. But he goes in there, and yeah, it's on his way in there. He sees his father and his son fighting over you know because he wants the kid to stick to being on the farm and kind of just living a virtuous life and helping out on the farm and whatnot. And the son says, screw you, old man. I'm gonna go to the city and become a gambler. And he
Mm,
takes off and leaves his father. His father's angry. His mother's very sad. And the Ronin kind of struts up and says, hey, give me a drink of water. So he takes a drink of water from their well, and he listens to them talk about how awful that town is and how all these young kids are going in and they're gambling and they're whoring around and they're just getting into all kinds of trouble.
damn hooligans.
And so he decides, okay, well, this might be a pretty good town for me to go get set up and do something interesting. So he rolls into town, and the town's just desolate, and people are all peeping up out of their windows at the stranger walking into town.
It's amazing how much this influenced spaghetti westerns.
Yeah. Oh,
it's,
big time.
it's just crazy.
And so you see this odd little cast of characters start emerging, and you've got the constable, who's obviously very corrupt, and he's on the take, and he tells Mifune's character, all right, so basically what you can do, I mean, basically, here's this group or that group, there are these two families who are separating the town. They're split the town in half and they're fighting.
Mm-hmm.
They're fighting for dominion of the town. And here's this one guy who is basically a pimp. He owns a brothel on this side of the town. And on this other side of the town, you've got this other guy who used to be a lieutenant for this one guy. And so he's gone over to his side of the town. He's kind of set up his thing, and he's got this whole thing with a sake brewer, and he's got this whole thing with the silk merchant and all this other stuff. And he's going to run that other guy in town. So if I were you, I go talk to that guy. And so he's got all this, and he's basically just whichever way the wind blows, whoever's winning, I'm on their side. And you've got the town coffin maker who's constantly building coffins because everyone's dying. You've got this
another archetype of the spaghetti westerns.
and this bartender who's just basically living next door to this coffin maker and yelling at him and bitching at him, and the guy just constantly, yeah, come on in. Yeah, I know you can't afford to give me some sake, so I know you can't afford to buy sake, so here, take this and get the hell out. And yeah, everybody's living like bottom of the rung. And eventually he goes out into the middle of the town, and I think he goes over to the one guy's. Trying to think, I've got a lot of the cast here. The one guy's name is Sabi or Saibi. Sabi. But he's basically the pimp who owns the brothel. And he takes a look at him, and he's kind of, no, he doesn't go to him first. He goes to the other guy. The other guy's name is Yushitora, and he's actually kind of got the more colorful clan. He's got two brothers. One is played by Daisuke Kato, who was in Seven Samurai, and also Rashomon.
Daisuke, yeah, I love that.
And and they really ugly him up in this one. He's wearing this gnarly set of bridge work that's probably even uglier than mine.
Oh.
But his whole thing, he's strong and he's tough and he's rough, but he's got like two brain cells rubbed together. The other brother is pretty much, for all practical purposes, the big bad. Because he kind of gets second billing, and that is Tetsuya Nakadai, who we talked about last time.
Our man.
And yes, he is in the two movies I'm discussing tonight.
Yeah, he's in the one. He's one of the ones I'm discussing. We've covered several movies with him on this channel, and many more to come.
Oh yeah, and he's still kicking.
Yeah, in my opinion, I say this every time. In my opinion, he is the finest living film actor.
Yeah,
because he's alive. He's got the resume. He's got the mad skills. He's done the work. I mean, and I said film. I didn't say stage or anywhere.
Yeah.
So, who knows? You guys can tell us if you agree with me or not. But go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah. In all honesty, I'm not even going to qualify that. He plays a hell of a heavy. I have not seen the breadth of his work. But
you remember you remember the work we covered recently where he's a real heavy.
Oh, yeah.
He's Satan.
Yeah. So he's a badass.
He is a badass.
But yeah, Nakadai, he plays Yunosuke, who's the brother to Yushitora, and he's kind of a crafty one. He's a little bit smarter than the other one. He kind of goes around with a gun tucked into his pocket. He is the polluting atmosphere. He is the gun.
Right.
And he is Chekhov's gun. But and then they've got among other people, they've got this towering giant who I'm not sure who plays him, but he's kind of got one of those guys. He's got some kind of condition, but he's looms over everybody and says
Mm.
very little.
Wow,
But
dude,
he's
has he appeared in other movies that you've seen?
not that I'm aware of, but he's obviously he's the muscle.
He's like the Japanese equivalent of like Carol Struken or Ted
Yeah,
Cassidy.
yeah, or Richard Keel.
Right, Richard Kiel.
Jaws.
Yes,
Jaws.
Yeah,
the strong silent type.
Yeah,
he was great. He was great.
Yeah. Or did you ever see that Burt Reynolds movie, Gator?
long time ago.
They've got that big, huge, giant guy.
Yeah, I don't
Who,
know.
it's because they spike Burt Reynolds' drink at one point, and I said, and Jerry Reed, who plays the bad guy, tells him, so hey Joe, tell him what you put in his drink, and he just kind of leans over and says, yellows, in a big booming voice, yellows. And Reynolds is like gone on meds at this point. He's just like, yellows.
My dad loved Gator. It's in Gator one of that. It's when he was doing this white trash movies like White Lightning and
Yeah, they're all the same. It's all Gator McCluskey.
oh, is the same character?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I totally remember that.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
think White Lightning is the first one, then there's Gator. And
love Burt
now
Reynolds. Rest in peace, man.
those may be the only two. I'm not sure he did a
Okay,
third.
that's more than enough.
And boy, if that ain't tangential, I don't know what is. But
Hey, it's okay, man.
yeah.
We're spitting out the facts tonight, guys. So
Yeah.
hope you're taking notes in the audience.
But anyway, he goes to these guys and sees if they're interested, and they're like, yeah, they kind of shine him on. They don't take him too seriously, but he kind of goes on. And he goes over. He talks to Sabi, the other guy, finds out his whole setup, and
Mhm.
Sabi, kind of the more old school guy who's been there longer, and he's running a brothel, and he has kind of the odd family situation where his wife is pretty much the brains of the business, and she's kind of running everything for him. And they've got this whiny son who runs around, and he's like, mommy, daddy, and they keep shoving him out there, come on, you just wimp, go out
Yeah,
there and
well,
like stop disgracing yourself, be a man. And so
big
they
thing in
make
Japan.
so they bring they say, okay, we're maybe interested in hiring you. And he's asking a fairly large amount, just when you take a look at it, and not everyone's making that much money. And
Right.
so they discuss that, and his wife, Sabi's wife, takes him outside. It's like, are you crazy? Why are you giving this much money to him? You don't give anyone else that much money. And
Right.
and then they bring in the other guy who's kind of previously the master of the house, and he says, yeah, you only pay me like 2 pieces of silver for everything we're doing, or or you only pay me like three Rio, or whatever the
Oh,
monetary unit is.
okay.
Yeah.
And
Playing with my
see,
set. Go ahead.
yes, new color there. Uh, and so his wife tells him, okay, listen, you can offer him that much, just but when we go over there and start kicking the other guy's ass, make sure you kill him. That way we don't have to pay him. And of course, he's kind of listening around the corner. He hears all this, and he kind of walks away. And
You don't think they're really going to double cross Yojimbo, do you?
no, I wouldn't dream of it.
Of course.
But anyway, at
No
least for
regret.
now, he says he's their Yojimbo. And so they're all getting ready to marshal their forces, and they're going to go out, and they're going to go after Yushitora and his whole gang.
Hmm.
And so the other guy who was griping about not being paid as much as they're getting ready to go, Sanjuro looks over the balcony and sees him sneaking over the wall of the city and taking off. He's like, "Bye," and it's kind of like, okay, so you know what's written on that wall, and so he's taken off. There's no loyalty here,
Mm.
and so they head out into the street, and Sanjuro's kind of marginally leading the way as we go up to this other gang that's amassed on the other side of the street. And then he turns to Sabi and he says, "Yeah, yeah, screw you, I'm gone." And he goes over and he tells the other, "Yeah, that guy decided he didn't want to pay me. In fact, he decided he wanted to kill me. So I just pretty much severed ties with him. I'm going to climb up this little watchtower up here and watch you guys kill each other." Which
Mm-hmm.
he does with great glee. They
Yeah,
run
yeah.
around, and I think a couple of people get killed. It's kind of a pointless skirmish. They're basically all running around like little kids playing war, and
Mm-hmm.
that all disperses. But they go into several episodic things where he just systematically spends the entire movie pitting these two people, kind of playing the middle and pitting
Yeah,
these two groups against each other,
yeah.
basically so he can just kind of walk in and take over. And he does a great job up to a point. I think at one point, one of the groups kidnaps. I think they kidnap Yusitora's wife,
Okay.
and Sanjuro is out there. He says, "Okay, well, I'll throw him behind these guys," and so he grabs this subplot broke up at one point where a constable, or not a constable, but something like a magistrate visits town
Okay.
to try to make sure they're not screwing around or killing each other or anything.
A
And
cop, basically, kind of,
yeah,
sort of.
and so and so while he's there, a magistrate several towns over, several miles away, gets killed.
Mm.
And what you find out is Yushitora basically killed them. And
Oh, okay.
Yushitora had them killed by somebody. But yeah, the two guys who committed the murder wind up in the sake bar drinking their brains out and talking all kinds of smack. And I think Sanjuro ambushes them outside, kills one, takes the other one prisoner, or does he? I don't know. Whatever. He takes them prisoner and gives them to Yushitora and says, "Yeah, here are these guys," you know, or gives them to Sabi and says, "Yeah, here are these two spies. You
Mm.
know, Yushitora would really like to get a hold of them." And so they put up this big hostage exchange. I think the wife does finally. No, she isn't the wife. She's like almost a woman who's being kept and held hostage by this sake brewer, and she's basically being held in prostitution or something, and
Okay.
much to her family's chagrin. Oh yeah, the sake brewer is played by oh god, what's his name? Um, Shimura,
Shishimura.
Takashi Shimura.
Wonder when he's gonna pop up. He's in every Kurosawa movie there is, just about.
He pops no, the
Yeah,
funny he pops up in both this and Sanjuro. The thing is, he plays very, very minor, unappealing characters. And one thing that just kind of floored me looking at the expanse of Kurosawa's flicks is just the way it's almost like there seems to be kind of a refreshing lack of ego playing out with these characters. I mean, this guy is one of like the top run, the like the top crest of his actors,
Oh
along
yeah.
with Mifune, and he's playing these really nothing roles where it's almost blink and you miss him.
But then he
And
was the leader of the Seven Samurai.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he was very much the center of that movie.
And he had his own movie, Ikuru.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
he had Kuro, and he had
There's an earlier one where they're kind of he's the star, Drunken Angel, but it was like one of Mifune's early roles, and Mifune was kind of a regarded as kind of a sexy, handsome matinee idol in Japan,
yeah,
and as have it, he proved he could act, but and then that was like 1947, 8 or 9, but 1948 is Stray Dog with Mifune starring, but I'm sure Shimura's in it. I haven't seen it in so long, but
yeah,
Shimura's in all of them. I mean, he pops up in doesn't he tell the story in Rashomon in the beginning?
yeah,
Dustin?
yeah.
Yeah.
He pops
He's
up in
he's
Rashomon.
yeah, he's the woodcutter who tells the final story about what really happened as the independent bystander.
Justin,
And
Yeah,
did you notice?
he's a virtuous character. Yeah.
He is. And
Yeah.
did you notice when you saw Gojira recently that he was in that too?
oh yeah,
The first Godzilla?
Gojira.
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah. I did see him in that. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
He's
Yeah.
everywhere.
So it's about a month ago now, but I recall seeing him absolutely.
Yeah.
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 I love that guy.
But
Sorry.
so ultimately, there's this hostage exchange, and I think this one girl gets taken prisoner
Hmm.
by the Ushitoras, and they end up killing. The two spies, and so it's kind of a big nasty business. And I think at that point, the Ushitoras set up Sanjuro and the half-wit brother is the two guys who will run out and check what's going on. They'll kind of where this woman is being held captive, and they go check out the house, which is supposed to have like 15 guards. And I think Sanjuro does this big double cross where he sends dumbass back to talk to somebody or other, and then he runs and he says, and he attacks all the guards in the place and kills them. And then he comes back and he says, "Hey, all these guys are dead. Call Yushitora. You guys need to come get a look at this." And when he goes in there and single-handedly destroys the house, grabs the girl, gets her husband and kid, and gives them all the money that they paid him, and says, "Get out of town. Just get the hell out of here," and sends them out. And he's just got this whole thing between two movies where he's just kind of got this very gruff, like, I can't stand these weak people. Of course, he's
He's very
acting,
cynical, much more.
yeah, but at the same time, he's acting very compassionately toward them.
Right, right. He has honor.
Yeah, but so he does that, and they all leave, and so he comes in, and the place is all ransacked. All the guards are dead, and he just says, okay, and they just take a look, and Nakadai, of course, looks at him, and he's just like, I know exactly what happened here.
Yunosuka, by the way, that's how you pronounce that name.
Ska, okay.
When you have a Japanese name that ends Suke,
Yeah,
you don't draw it out like us Americans.
yeah,
Like he in the movie I covered last time, Sword of Doom, he played
yeah.
Ryunosuke.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, I thought when I first saw it, I thought it was Ryunosuke or whatever.
Yeah.
But
I always kind of struggle with the pronunciations.
well, that's just one I happen to know correctly. I don't know them all correctly, but I'm working on it.
But Unuska, yeah, anyway, he's just like, I know exactly what you did. These are really good slices you made, and I mean, just that's an expert swordsman. You're in for it, buddy. And and so they end up basically beating the shit out, beating him, half to death,
Hmm.
and leaving him, tied up, and eventually he escapes and manages to get himself back to the coffin maker and the sake, the bartender guy,
Mm-hmm.
and they sneak him out of town. They sneak him out of town, pretending he's a body or something. They've got him in a coffin, and of course, I think the coffin maker runs for his life at one point, or is it? Yeah, the coffin maker runs for his life, and then the and so the bartender's trying to haul his ass, or it's got to be the coffin maker. He hauls his ass out there, and just
Has he said the line that that's in Fistful of Dollars? Doesn't he say the same line? I mean, our main character to the coffin maker that he's going to start needing to make a lot more coffins.
yeah, he does. He says, "Get some coffins, make some coffins."
You're going to need them.
Yeah, but so they're trying to get him out of town. As they're trying to get him out of town, the Yushitora clan is ransacking the Sabi clan, and they are just they're basically burning the place down. Everyone's getting pulled out. Like Sabi ends up dying, his wife ends up dying, their son ends up dying. Everybody in that clan is getting wiped
Massacre.
out. You know, he's up there, dude's up there with his gun, just shooting away at them.
Now, who's killing them? Onuska?
Onuska, yeah, he's killing. He's the one killing people with the gun,
right? Cheater.
And
just kidding.
And so he's doing that, yeah. But he basically. Oh yeah, he gets dumbass brother there to actually help him haul the coffin out to this little temple, little cemetery.
Mm.
And he says, "Oh, I'll help you bury him." I said, yeah, you want to go with that because your brother's going to want you to help him with whatever." And he says, "Oh yeah, that's right. He's going to kick my ass if I don't do that. Thanks." And he takes off. It very easily dissuaded, and so they get Sanjuro to this little temple, which is like probably the size of my room, and they just say, "Here, lay low, get better." And so he gets better, gets back into town, and as he's in town, the barkeep is kind of being hung from an awning or something, and he's just in a very dire predicament.
He's still alive?
Yeah, he's still alive. He's kind of being hung by his arms or whatever. He just seems in a very. They're obviously just kind of like, okay, so where'd this guy go? And so finally, and the place is windblown and destroyed, and you just see the winds just blowing against this rickety little town, and you just see Sanjuro at the very end of the street, and he starts walking up the street, and at some point, the Usatora gang come out and they look up that street and they see Sanjuro coming down the street at them, and they all draw their swords and they start walking up the street. And of course, Yunosuke's got the gun, and he's kind of got the gun. He's not even hiding. He's got it full on out and he's going to shoot. And so Sanjuro goes running in and basically massacres every last one of them.
Mm.
And they're all just dying in the streets. And Yunosuke, I think, is the last one left. And he's just like, "Oh, I can't reach my gun. Help me reach my gun." And he says, just I'm nothing without it. And he hands him the gun. He just, which seems kind of foolish. But then Yunosuke, I think, lifts up the gun and tries to shoot him and gets one shot out of the gun that flies wild. And then
Wonder if he'd ever used a gun before that.
He used the gun. Well, before getting it, I don't know. At that point, yeah, he probably hasn't been too successful. He just steps on the gun then and says, "Yeah, you're not getting off that last shot." And I think he shoots into the ground or something. And he's just lying there dying. He says, "I'll see you at the gates of hell." And so they're the the guy who was the old mayor of town is going around town beating his prayer drum like some kind of a ghost.
Mhm.
And just kind of the little background characters, the bartender and the coffin maker and the constable are running around, and I kind of don't know what to do from here, but you just kind
Uh,
of says,
This is, I
well,
mean, this is like a total template for almost all spaghetti westerns. It's really creepy, almost.
yeah, and he just says, yeah, hey, enjoy, have your town back, and he
Right,
walks out of town.
right. Fuck you.
Walks out of town with the old itchy shoulder thing going. It's like,
Yeah, he played some of those characters with those insane physical ticks, like that
yeah,
guy and Kikichiro. What's his name? The guy in Seven Samurai.
yeah.
And also in Rashomon, when he starts walking through the woods, he's scratching. These bugs are biting him, and and then he laughs. When they tie him up, he makes all these crazy gestures and laughs. So
Yeah.
he did a lot of that physical acting, which was kind of slapstick in a way. I mean, he made it work within a serious story, but it was
Yeah.
pretty
And
entertaining.
and with the next story, it gets wackier and wackier.
Yeah,
But I don't know. At the same time, I mean, the guy in a lot of ways is a real chameleon,
he is. Yeah. Oh yeah.
and he's
Mifune's one of
astonishing to
the.
watch.
I mean, wow. Yep. So, any final thoughts on Yojimbo? If I'm pronouncing
Uh,
it right, Yojimbo.
Incredible. Just enjoy the hell out of it. Watch it,
Where can
get it.
people see this other than buying it from Criterion? Which you're welcome to do that.
Oh
But
yeah, and you should.
yeah,
Yeah,
if you have the
and
money.
damn
Uh,
it, folks, you'll get physical media.
is it
But
on Criterion Channel to watch right now? It's
I don't even know because I don't have Criterion Channel.
I think I thought you were the one who told me it wasn't right at the moment. You know how they come and go
Yeah,
cycles. Okay,
yeah. I can tell you
it
where
might be
I
on
got it.
Plex. It
I
might be
got
on
it on
Plex.
Prime. I got it on
Oh, you
Prime, but
got it on Prime. That's right. So those are on Prime for rent.
I think it's also on HBO Max, or I think it's just called
Okay.
Max now.
Okay. Yes, and I do think it's on Plex also. So yeah. Okay. Good. So people can see it for free or for a few dollars more.
For a few dollars more. Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap up this incredible episode, and we're going to be back with more exciting tales of the samurai. In the meantime, please try to remember to drop a like on these videos, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. We have a goal of 1,000 subscribers, but YouTube does a terrible job of alerting subscribers to new videos. So hit that notification bell if you want to just keep up with what we're doing, as soon as I post it, basically.
Yeah, we crank out a lot of stuff, and
Oh yeah.
keep on your toes about it because we got some good stuff coming.
We're an unstoppable juggernaut.
That we are.
All right, have a good
Thanks so
evening.
much for watching.
Yes.
And it's true that we cannot see that far behind. If we looked all the way in the past, we'd go blind. In the night, from the stars as they've all lived their lives, and the light that they gave as they burned and then died.